After e4, c5, knight f3, d6, bishop e5 check, we're playing the Moscow and black blocks with the knight, we play d4. Now in the line where they take the pawn, we obviously need to take back with the queen, as we know from previous videos. So after a6, we take the knight in d7, and in this video we're going to go through queen takes, because we already seen what happens after bishop takes and how to take the plan from there. Queen takes here, you just go on with knight c3, and after knight f6, here's the idea. Bishop g5 immediately. So what's the idea behind it? Let's make an example. If black plays b5 to put the bishop in fianchetto, since the queen is now in d7, and the fianchetto looks like a fairly good place to be for the bishop, also because there's nowhere else to develop it, you take the knight as well. So you gave two bishops for two knights right at the beginning of the game for the sake of smashing the pawn structure. And here you can't just take back with the e-pawn. Black has to take with the g-pawn, but either way, this is already much better for white. If black takes with the e-pawn, you play knight e5, already threatening knight b6, winning material, and we are gonna invest our energy on this pawn, the d6 pawn, which is the most backward one our opponent has. But you see how in a minute. Okay, rook to b8, stopping knight b6 from happening. Castle. We're already controlling the open file. Bishop to b7, developing the bishop, is met with a crazy e5. Completely careless of everything. Well, okay, obviously there's reasons behind it. The d-pawn taking doesn't work, because when the knight takes in f6 with check, you're going to have double attack on the queen, and that's going to be checkmate soon. If our opponent instead takes with the f-pawn, same thing, knight takes e5, comes with an attack on the queen, so there is no Zwischenzug by bishop takes d5 or something like that, because you just take the queen. If pawn takes knight, then we have the same scenario, knight f6, we're going to have a lot of attack over d7, and we can finish the game. And in this position, if none of the pawns take the pawn, but rather black reduces the initiative by taking our super strong knight in d5 with the bishop, we ignore it and just play pawn takes in f7, and we are down a piece, but then our opponent can choose to also take the knight. We're down 2 pieces now. Our opponent has massively reduced our initiative, but we have enough to finish this game, because we are going to ignore that once again. We're down 2 pieces, but we play rook check. And now obviously blocking is not good, because you can take everything. You finish by having the queen. I mean, the bishop remains pinned. So you can even afford to not take it straight away and then just keep attacking. And maybe you can take this bishop, then take here, you're completely winning. If instead the king goes to d8, seems to be making sense. Remember that our opponent is up 2 pieces and is still attacking the rook. Here we still ignore that bishop and we take the pawn in g7. Now this threat is too much, because we're threatening to take the rook and promote another queen, so we're going to have much more material than our opponent. So here moving the rook doesn't help, because then you're going to promote rook takes back. And it looks like after recapturing the bishop we will be equal. Although no, we will be up a pawn, but this pawn structure will look really bad. White in fact plays rook to d3, completely careless of the bishop, because the bishop has got nowhere to go. Okay, you might argue the bishop's got lots of places to go, but in reality none of them helps the black player. Rook to d3 is threatening to attack the c file. So here if bishop g2, for example, queen to f6 check, only move will be king to c8. King to c7 will run into rook c6, rook e7, so king to c8 is met with rook to d6 attacking the queen. And now no matter what, let's say queen to b7, there's no coming back here. Queen f5 comes with the checkmate very soon. And even if the queen had picked someone else, let's say a7, to give king the possibility to go b7 and a8 and exploit the bishop defending that diagonal, this still leads to checkmate. Queen f5 check, king b7, rook to e7 check, king moves, and now we can take the queen with check, king takes, queen c5, ends the game soon enough. So let's make a recap, because we went quite far. d6, bishop e5, knight d7, d4, take, a6, take, and now we're looking at queen takes. Knight c3, knight f6, attack the knight immediately. So we're looking at this move b5 to see how to deal with the capture here. Bishop takes, g takes, this is what we're looking at now. Okay, knight to d5 comes now. The knight is a monster in there. The idea is to play knight b6, so if black plays any move, let's say rook g8, putting in a rook in an open file, knight b6 wins material over here. So obviously, what happens after rook to b8, stopping that from happening. Okay, long castle. Rook to g8, putting pressure on g2, knight to h4, defends it. Bishop to b7, develops the bishop, g3. And the funny thing is that our strength here consists of being able to play knight f5 anytime we want. And we're ruling the board. White has a massive control. So if black tries to reduce it with bishop to d5, but okay, before we go through bishop to d5, what if black develops? Okay, bishop h6, check. Remember, black can't castle anywhere. Here play king f4, pawn to f4. The e pawn will never be able to move without running into knight f6, winning the queen. The rook here is completely useless. This bishop is completely useless. So the only thing left to do is kind of what we said before. Bishop takes knight. Okay, pawn takes back. Again, e can never move because queen f6 here. Rook to g4, attacking the queen. f4, that's how you deal with that. Rook to c8, putting the rook in the best square. King to b1, queen to c7, going for c2, queen to e4, protects it. Queen to c4, looking for swap in order to play a normal game, attempting to play a normal endgame, rook to d4. Don't make that happen. Queen back to c7, rook to e1. We're threatening knight f5 here, it's a super strong move. There's nothing really to do. There's no way to stop that unless black wants to give us the exchange. If that doesn't happen, let's say h5, with the goal of playing h4 later on, but still, knight f5, queen to d7. Even playing computer moves here, it's pointless for black, because black can't move. a4. Eventually, we're just waiting for our opponent to run out of moves. So here's the plan. If black takes us, you take back with the rook, and you're infiltrating, you're going to play rook e3, the other rook is coming this way as well, and everyone is going to go to the 7th rank. If instead rook c7, defending this further, right, you take the pawn. Pawn takes back, and same thing, rook e3. And we've got the same plan. Rook to b4, then the other rook as well, and you're infiltrating no matter what. Blocking is safe, because this rook is completely useless there. The bishop can't really develop. So we're going to close the line there. One more thing I wanted to mention before we close this video is the e6 variation. So check, knight d7, d4. Take with the queen, a6. Take, and now we're looking at bishop takes bishop. That's the topic of the video. And now we're looking at queen takes. This is the topic of the video. Okay, knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5. Now it looks like e6 might be played. Okay, castle. Bishop to e7, saves everything, looks very solid. Looks like we gave the bishop pair for nothing. e5. And now we're going through, we're basically going to transition to a better endgame for white. This is black having played the best and more solid moves. So obviously this is not going to be the same sharp type of variation, but let's look at it. With attacking the knight, if the knight moves, we're going to have two attackers. We actually have loads of attackers over d5. Knight h5 doesn't work, because when we get a chance to swap the dark square bishop, right, then either way, we're going to have three attackers over d6. That passport is a win already. Position evaluated plus 550 or something like that. So back in this position, the knight can't move, because obviously trading with this bishop would be deadly. What if then black takes the pawn? Seems like it solves everything. Okay, queen takes. Now there's a discovered attack on the queen. The queen will have to move. Not many places to go to, as you can notice. The bishop can't block. You got two attackers there. Queen c7 will be taken. Queen, let's say c6, because b5 and a4 are also taken. So queen c6, rook h2, e1. Look at the development. Castle. It looks all good, but it's actually over now because knight to d4 attacks the queen. The queen doesn't have many places to go. Okay, queen to g2 will be a suicide because rook g1. The queen's got literally nowhere to go. And, well, okay, queen h3 you might argue, but then you win this piece in f6. Okay? And here, after knight d4 attacking the queen, there's not really much. Okay, let's say queen to b6. The queen doesn't take the poison pawn. Okay, fair enough. The plan was this. Knight f5. Knight f5, I should say. You see, the thing is, we're threatening to take this bishop, to take here. The queen's infiltrating rook e3, rook g or h, depending on what black does. There's nothing to do here. It can't be fixed. And let's say, for instance, pawn takes knight. Seems to be the most logical choice. Queen takes e7, position evaluated +3, like if we were up a piece. Because you see, the thing is, this rook can't attack us because the back rank is weak. We have 2 attackers there, so that's checkmate. Bishop e6 doesn't help because you're going to take the knight, and then pawn takes back, queen takes back. And again, the file of the king is completely open, and that's big trouble because our rook are easily developable. And the funny thing is, in this position, queen can't just like go anywhere near us because the rooks are controlling both central files. Last but not least, in this position, if black just tries to kick away our bishop, right? We play knight a4, kicking the queen away from that square. This is really important because we want to be able to take this without the queen being able to defend. Not that it makes difference because we're tripling the pawn, so we should be still winning the endgame. But knight a4 is the most accurate move. After the queen moves to c6, still remaining in control of f6 and also attacking the knight. Well, we decide to now take. And when the queen takes back, we swap everything. Knight to b6, attacks the rook, rook moves. Knight to d5, position evaluated +350. The black pawn structure is ridiculous, and the infiltration of the 7 rank is happening soon enough. Nothing saves black. King to g7 maybe, stop us from taking that pawn at least. Okay, knight f4. And the plan is of playing rook e7, then play rook to c7, and carry on. If bishop blocks and says, I'll give you a pawn, well, no, you simplify. Rook takes, pawn takes, knight check. And yeah, you're easily winning this endgame. You also got a majority on the queen side. So to close this video, what if black doesn't take the knight in this position, but rather just saves the bishop to b4, attacks here. Looks like a normal move, but now knight to h6, and that is why we went to f4. That is also one of the reasons why we went to f4. Here there's nothing to do. If king moves, then you take the bishop. You take the knight with the bishop, and this is pinned, and if pawn takes, that's checkmate, so you're completely winning. And here after knight h6 check, if pawn takes, again, bishop takes. That's it. Bishop can't just take the knight here because queen g3 is made. So maybe queen to f2. Winning a pawn and safeguarding us from the possibility to play queen g3 mate. Rook to e3 and rook to g3 is happening no matter what.